Om Shanti. Good morning, Diamond Morning. Baba today is teaching us the lesson how to get rid of this greed and keep our aim in alignment. It's really of the 22nd of January 2022. In the essence, Baba says, sweet children, you mustn't have any type of greed. Don't ask anyone for anything, because you are bestowers, children of the bestower. Question. You are godly students. And so what is your aim? And what is not your aim? Answer. Your aim is to imbibe the knowledge that you receive from the Father and to pass with honors. However, it is not your aim to have desires and think, I want this or I want that. Don't have any exchange with human beings and thereby create further karmic accounts. Stay in remembrance of the Father and make effort to become karmatit. In the song of Baba's Murli, do not forget the days of your childhood. Om Shanti. You children know that this is a relationship between the Supreme Father and the children. The spiritual father is sitting here, and the children are also sitting here. When sannyasis go somewhere from their ashrams, it would be said that such and such a sannyasi is a resident of such and such a place, and that he relates the Gita and scriptures, etc. That is not anything new, because it is said that God is omnipresent, all knowledge comes to an end. That one is the spiritual Father, whom all spirits remember. It is the Spirit that says, O Supreme Father, Supreme Soul. When someone experiences sorrow, he wouldn't say anything to his physical father. He would remember the unlimited Father. Sannyasis would remember the Brahma element. They are the ones who have the knowledge of the Brahma element. They don't remember the Father at all. They say, Shiva, I, the soul, am the Supreme Soul. The Brahma element is a place of residence. These things are completely new. This knowledge disappears. My knowledge is not in those scriptures. Because my knowledge is not in the scriptures, when you relate it to others, they say that this is something new. It doesn't enter their intellects that The incorporeal Supreme Soul is giving knowledge. They believe that Krishna spoke knowledge, and so they have become confused. Baba proves everything one by one to you. All of you remember God on the path of devotion. Devotees are all devotees, but there has to be one God. By considering God to be in everyone, they began to worship everyone. First of all, there is unadulterated worship of Shiva, but they don't have any knowledge of what he did before he went away. They don't know when he came. However, that is Satopradhan devotion. The one from whom happiness is received is worshipped. There was also limitless happiness in the kingdom of Lakshmi and Narayan. They were the deities of heaven. Although Lakshmi and Narayan are believed to be the first empress and emperor of the golden age, no one knows the duration of the golden age. The Father explains everything to you children. Only you children become, what do we children become? Bible says, Brahmins. This is the new creation. You can explain to everyone that the Supreme Father, Supreme Soul, is creating the new world through Brahma, the father of the people. Everyone understands this. Why else would he be called the father of people? Only you children know these things. No one else knows them. They are unable to understand these new things. When they become firm after hearing these things, they then realize how much darkness they were in. They need a new God, not the deities. Devotion is performed of those who existed in the past. Then ask them. What is the favorite question we should ask them? Baba often says in the Murli, what is your relationship with the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, whose birthday you celebrate? What did he do when he came? They won't be able to tell you anything. They simply say of Krishna that he stole butter and that he did this and that and give knowledge. There is so much confusion. Only the one God is the bestower. Krishna wouldn't be called the bestower. They are all confused. All of this is fixed in the drama. The Father explains so clearly. Even a few things in a nutshell don't sit in the intellects of human beings. If you were to sit and write the story of the 84 births of each one, you couldn't tell how long it could be. The Father says, put aside all of those things. And what should we do? We don't have to get so confused with all of these things. He says, put aside all of these things and constantly remember me alone. Let's pause for a minute and remember this sweet Baba. Everything is explained and expanded on a little so that people's doubts are removed. However, it is such a small matter. What is that small matter? Remember me. It is just like a mantra that is given to remember God. However, They wouldn't say by remembering God, your sins will be absolved and you will go to God. Only the Father explains that your sins are not absolved by bathing in the Ganges. At this time, the burden of sin on each one is very great. There are very few pure actions, but there are many sinful actions for many births. You have knowledge and you stay in yoga so much, but in spite of that, you have performed so many sins that you are unable to get rid of them. When you become karmatit, you will receive a new birth in the new world. If any sins are still left, what will be the consequence of this? If any sins are still left, one would say punishment. Baba says today, rebirth will have to be taken in the old world. You children are receiving very good knowledge. The Father says, if you don't understand anything, just remember the Father. So very sweetly, even if we don't understand, he says, just remember the Father. Even by just doing this much, you can receive the sovereignty of heaven in a second. There is the story of Kudados, God the friend. God gave the kingdom for a day. You now know that Baba is the mother, the father, the friend, the brother, etc. And so God is the friend, is he not? When he gave the kingdom for a day, for each one of these souls, they all did different things with it. And so there was one who used the kingdom, the opportunity of the kingdom to elevate himself. So Baba says here, the stories of Allah, Aladdin, God, the one who establishes the first religion, of Kuda, those God, the friend, are all of this time. Baba gives you the sovereignty of heaven in a second. When daughters used to go into trance, they would become prince and princesses. Then they would relate all the news of that place. You now know the Father. Everyone speaks of Heavenly God the Father, and so he would definitely only create the new world of heaven. Bharat alone was the golden age. There were no other religions at that time. Christians too say that 3,000 years before Christ, Bharat was heaven, where Lakshmi and Narayan used to rule the kingdom. This is why it is asked where they received their inheritance from. What connection do the people of Bharat have with them? They were the masters of heaven in the beginning. It is now hell. So where did they go? You do believe in birth and death, do you not? It is only when a soul enters the cycle of birth and death that he takes 84 births. How else would he take them? There are innumerable opinions in the world. Some believe in rebirth, whereas others don't. You should ask. What's the question should we ask? I was again saying, what is your relationship with Shiva, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul? Who are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar? Where do they reside? You would reply, they reside in the subtle region. No one else can tell you this. It is so easy for you. Mothers don't have any concern about jobs, etc. They simply stay at home. They don't have any complications of employment. They just have to claim the inheritance from the father. Men have many concerns. Papa tells you. And what he tells us? You claim your status and become the masters of the world. Wealthy people have so much worries. There is a lot of bribery in the world. You don't need to take bribes. That is what businessmen do. You're free from all of that. Nevertheless, Maya is such that she catches hold of you. How does she catch hold of us? Sometimes he says by the nose. Today he's saying she catches hold of you by your plait. And this is why you have some greed or attachment, and you then keep asking your students for something. Baba says, don't ask anyone for anything. You children of the West, you are children of the West too, are you not? You have to give and not ask for anything. You can take whatever you want from Shiv Baba. If you take something from anyone else, you will continue to remember that person. If you take everything from Shiv Baba, you will repeatedly remember Shiv Baba. Shiv Baba says, your account of give and take is with me. This Brahma is just the agent in between. I am the one who gives. Stay in connection with me through Brahma. If you take anything from others, you will remember those people and become adulterated. Take things from Shiv Baba's treasure store and don't ask anyone for anything. Otherwise, the one who is giving also incurs a loss, because that person did not give to Shiv Baba's treasure store. Everything should be given to Shiv Baba's treasure store. You have had a relationship of give and take with human beings for a long time. Your connection is now directly with Shiv Baba. However, Baba knows that some children have an evil spirit. And what is this evil spirit to? Especially to ask others for things. What is that evil spirit? Which is the advice Baba spoke about earlier in the Murli. He says, Baba knows that some children have an evil spirit of greed in them. Many children say that they haven't seen Shiv Baba. Oh, but can you see yourself? Have you had a vision of yourself or so? That you are asking to have a vision of Shiv Baba? You know that you, a soul, reside in the center of the forming. Shiv Baba would also be in the center of the forming. You know that the soul sheds a body and takes another. Sometimes it is possible to have a vision of a soul. A soul is a star. Visions would be had in a divine vision. Okay, so you worshipped Krishna and you had a vision of him, but what was the benefit of that? Even if you did have a vision of God, what would be the benefit of that? You still have to study anyway. When someone on the path of devotion has a vision, there is a lot of praise about that, but they don't receive anything. Shiv Baba is the ocean of knowledge. Brahma is not called the ocean of knowledge, is he? Brahma also receives knowledge from that one. Nowadays, they place a Shivalingam in front of everyone, but they don't understand anything. They perform worship, but they can't tell you anyone's biography. They can't understand these jewels of knowledge. Whilst you are receiving jewels of knowledge, Maya turns some of you into what she turns us into. Baba says, monkeys. You say, I don't want jewels of knowledge. Baba explains, you will still go to Shivalaya, the temple of Shiva in brackets, but with the status of a subject. You should make effort to claim a high status. The Father says, I have come to give you what he has come to give us. Sometimes he says he brings it in the palm of his hand. Today he's saying, I have come to give you the sovereignty of heaven. Just make effort and make others the same as you. You can also ask the priests in the temples, and the question, ask the priests in the temples, who are they? There is the saying, someone came to borrow a piece of burning charcoal and ended up as the master of the kitchen, that is in brackets, the head cook. All of this enters the intellect of some priests very well. We too were worshippers and have now become worthy of worship. You can explain what effort Lakshmi and Narayan made to become worthy of worship. Baba says, go and explain at places where my devotees are. Baba actually had said this to Trinidad group many years ago, that many of my children are in the temples, they're devotees. Go and search for them. So he says, devotees would be in the temples of Shiva. Go to the Lakshmi and Narayan temples and the Jagadamba temple and explain to the priests there, so that they can then explain to others. If the priests were to sit and tell everyone Jagadamba's occupation, everyone would be happy. Tell them what you have to tell them. You have to understand all of these things. If you were to sit and tell someone the biographies of the deities, you would receive a lot of money. Only those who are soul conscious are able to say this. Those who are body conscious constantly have the desires throughout the day. And what desires they have throughout the day? And they ask people for things. I want this, I want that. They have that greed. You students should have greed for knowledge, so that you can then pass with honors. This is the aim of your study. Understand the secrets of the drama. The drama is not long, but they have given it a long duration in the scriptures. This say, as a matter of fact, it's hundreds of thousands of years, when it is only 5,000 years. So Baba says, therefore, all of this should enter your intellects. There is a lot of service to do. And when someone just has to do it. Baba is saying there is a lot of service to do, and someone just has to do it. You wouldn't ask the Father for blessings. Some ask, God, give us a son so that our clan can grow. Oh, but the Father is making his clan grow. At this time, the deity clan is growing. God's clan is now growing. And obviously, if God's clan is growing, the deity clan will grow, because it's God's clan that become the deity clan. So very interestingly, Baba is saying, God's clan is now growing. You two are the children of God. Therefore, the Father explains. And what he explains? Renounce all of those desires and remember the one Father. Just pause for a few moments and remember this one sweet Father. All bondages, etc., are accounts of karma. Look how many bondages Baba has. He has to think of so many children. There are so many complications. They defame him so much. It is easy to do disservice, but very difficult to do service. When someone becomes spoiled, he spoils 10 to 20 others, because there's such an influence. Influences are such things that really could take us away from our aim, our objective, the path Baba is teaching us. Everyone's heads get so spoiled because of influences. So Baba says, when someone becomes spoiled, he spoils 10 to 20 others. 5 or 8 emerge with great difficulty. Some continue to go to centers and also continue to make their faces dirty. Such monkey intellects spoil the atmosphere. Why do you allow such ones to sit there? Once someone has dirtied his face, the effect of that lasts for a long time. Everything is known from one's register. They would come to for 4 or 5 years and then stop coming. Baba explains what he explains. You wouldn't be able to claim a royal status by doing that. Indulging in vices, dirtying the faces, and then coming. There is the story of the court of Indra. Someone was turned to stone. You too will become those with stone intellects and be unable to become those with divine intellects. In spite of that, you still don't make effort. This too is fixed in the drama. Everyone is needed in a kingdom, number-wise. Maids, servants, and cremators, etc. are all needed. Acha, okay. To the sweetest, beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bap Daddy. The spiritual father says, Namaste to the spiritual children, and the spiritual children say, Namaste to the spiritual father. Essence for Dharana points to practice for today. First point, renounce all worldly desires and become a helper in making God's plan expand. Don't do anything to cause disservice. Second point, keep a connection of give and take with only the one Father, not with any bodily being. Quite an interesting blessing for today. Baba says, may you become victorious at the time of upheaval everywhere by practicing the avyakt stage and the bodiless stage. Very beautiful explanation Baba gives here. In the last moments, there will be the upheaval of There will be the upheaval and noise of people and the elements all around. The atmosphere will be one of crying out and of shaking. At such a time, your practice of becoming an ambient angel and an incorporeal bodiless soul in a second will make you victorious. Therefore, practice this over a long period of time. As a master, play music through the instrument of your mouth and listen through your ears. And if you don't want to be able to stop in a second, this practice will make you worthy of being remembered. That is, it will take you into the rosary of victory. The slogan for today: in order to make your efforts intense, tighten the loose screw of carelessness. Very creatively said by Baba. In order to make your efforts intense, tighten the loose screw of carelessness. Om Shanti. And the experience for the stage of being merged in love. At the beginning of the day at Amrit Vela, imbibe God's love in your heart completely. If your heart is full of God's love, God's power, and God's knowledge, your attachment and love will never go to anyone else. Papa is teaching us with so much love. He doesn't want us to remember anyone else except himself. Om Shanti.